Then we have charmers. Now, charmers are interesting because they are easy to talk to, but they basically depend on their personalities to create results. So they may come to you with a product that really has no value whatsoever, but they are so charming that you'll just buy it from them anyway. The problem with charmers is that if there's no base product and there's nothing on the back end, they end up fizzling out and not perceiving their dreams anyway. And then we have the rebel. The rebel is the person that has to have it their own way all the time. They know everything, they're always right, and they love to cause havoc. All right, so these are the types of high potential I love when people snicker when I do, because everybody knows somebody like this. See, and the interesting thing is that they're more common than not, because more of us are doing this than the things I want you to start thinking about doing after we get to the good part of the lecture. All right, so before I move on with the lecture, again, I have to go back to source. People want to know, well, who are these people you're talking to? How do you say you know all these people? Who are you to come up and say that you know these people? Well, I'm going to tell you, I am a personal friend of Kevin Trudeau's. I've met Kevin Trudeau. I talked to Kevin Trudeau. I study under Kevin Trudeau. Now, what Kevin will tell you is it's not his information. He is the deliverer of the information, but his information is amassed from informations that are coming from different groups that run this country, literally run the country, that you're not aware of, that I'm going to mention to you in a little while. So let's talk about that a little bit. Does anybody know anything about the subversive groups? These are not evil groups. They're just groups that kind of operate under the wire that actually run the planet. And I'm going to throw a couple of names out. Minnie knows them. The Illuminati, the Brotherhood, the Bilderbergers, and how about the Skull and Bones out of Yale College? All right, does anybody know who these groups are? Raise your hand. All right, so this is very interesting because not many people know who these groups are. Now, if I just said something to you that sounds like, a different language, here's what I want you to understand. What I'm going to tell you is real. This is not made up. There are groups of people, and again, this goes back to about 1910, when a group got together and decided to have a meeting, 15 of the most powerful people on the planet, kind of like Spectre from James Bond. These 15 people got together, and they decided they were going to create a World Bank and a centralized government and what have you. And this was their dream back in 1910. And they met at the Bilderberger Hotel. And this is where these names started coming from. And this group actually created a group of about 15 people that control the media, control television, control radio, control basically what you think, what you believe, and what you hear. And we are the result of that for about 100 years now, being taught what we think are truths that are not truths. So all I want you to get out of this right now, because I don't have enough time to get into the history, but there are people that actually are making the world go in the direction they want it to go because they are benefiting from it. It has nothing to do with doing what's right for us. It's to benefit them. And it goes into politics, and it goes into religion, and it goes into banking, and it goes into virtually everything. And again, this is not the format to get into it because I don't have 14 hours to discuss it. The other people that are part of this information that I got this from, one more gentleman I have to acknowledge because this is being videotaped, is that Ron Ball. Now, Ron Ball, any of us that are older remember blue blocker sunglasses. Blue blocker sunglasses. You remember blue blocker sunglasses? Okay. Well, Ron Ball was the creator of blue blocker sunglasses. If you don't remember blue blocker sunglasses, Ron Ball was very early into Amway, a multi-level marketing company. So he made his fortune in Amway because he was one of the early pioneers in Amway. And then once he made, millions and billions and millions of dollars and really needed a new game, he came up with infomercials. So he made one of the first early infomercials for blue blocker sunglasses. And as a young man, Ron's from Kentucky, he made, $30, $40, $50 million selling blue blocker sunglasses. So these are the people that I'm telling you are telling me this. This information came from Ron Ball and it came from Kevin Trudeau, and I put it together for you in a short amount of time because the actual CD series that this is coming from is in my hand. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about this. Back in the fall of '09, Kevin Trudeau, on a phone call alone, invited about 50 of his closest business associates to an undisclosed location in the Swiss Alps. And the conversation went like this. Hi, this is Kevin. I have life-changing information I'm going to share with only 50 of my closest friends. Cost of the weekend is $10,000 up front. I will not discuss anything up front. If you know me and you've done business with me and you know how successful I am, I'm inviting you to come. $10,000 up front. I'm going to tell you where to go once I get the money from you. That's how people were invited. That was the seminar. They go up to the Alps on that weekend, and everything is recorded on here. So what they paid $10,000 for was recorded on here. I paid for this, but I didn't pay $10,000. I paid a good amount of money, but I didn't pay $10,000. But what I have to tell you, and I'm going to share something personally with you, and it's not to brag, but as soon as I finished listening to this completely, the very next week in practice, I collected more money in my practice than I ever did in my entire career in 1 week. I never did that. I mean, I always had a high. You know, Dr. Yonks and I, we keep statistics. We're taught to manage statistics, and we should all be keeping statistics. And Brian and I, just so you know, we're trained by the same group of doctors. We're trained by the same consultants. And just to let you know where I'm coming from, I invited Brian to join my group over 10 years ago. So understand, if I was so competitive, and I don't compete with Brian, because Brian and I are both chiropractors, but I compete against pharmacology, no offense, Brian, and I compete against medicine. But when you have the bigger picture in life, and you realize that Brian and I are both on the same team, I knew that it would better our community if Brian became better at what he did. So more than 10 years ago, I invited Brian and every chiropractor in town to a meeting with the same consultant that he and I still use today, who's a very successful guy. Why? Because there's more value in helping others than trying to knock everybody out of the box. See, when you really can think above the nonsense of what you've been taught, because you've been taught knock out your competition. You've been taught squash the guy. You've been taught kick that guy in the pants when he's down. That's the wrong attitude. That's why you're hurting out there, because you're using the wrong attitude. I'm going to help you turn that around tonight, as long as you're open to expansion. Everybody want to expand? Okay, great. So then we're on the same page. So I know this is a new concept, that you're actually not going to compete with the other chiropractor in town or the other business. But trust me, if you don't compete with them and you embrace them, you'll do even better than you're doing now. Freaky but true concept. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. Okay, remember I told you have to think out of the box a little bit. Okay. So these are the successful people that I'm referring to when I'm referring to who successful people are. These are people that make upwards of $50 million a year. All right, so these people are operating at a different level than you and I are operating, and they're no better than us, and they'll tell you. The only difference between them and you is training. Training and open-mindedness, which I'm going to cover the secrets tonight. So I want you to pay close attention, all right, because you're going to get something out of it if you really imply it and put it in. All right, so now we're going to get into the actions of what successful people are. So now this is who you want to become. I want you to write them down. I want you to learn them, because you're going to need to know them if you want to really be successful. And again, very foremost and important, successful people have an indestructible personality. Now, I like that term, indestructible. That makes me think of Superman. So in other words, doesn't matter what's going on in the world, doesn't matter how the economy is, doesn't matter that the market fell out, doesn't mean a damn thing. Because indestructible personalities just always keep going this way, and they're always going up. And I like those people. And I admire those people, and I want to be one of those people, and I want you to be one of those people. Indestructible personality. Cannot be crushed, cannot be denied, cannot be stopped. They never give up. There is no quitting in an indestructible personality. They have an unshakable belief in their destiny and their ability. They have a sturdy resiliency to any situation, and they have unrelenting courage in any situation. You show me a guy that in the middle of a fight can sit there calm and cool and keep it together, I'll show you somebody who's got some potential. Because it's easy to get hit. It's easy to throw a punch. It's easy to fight. Show me somebody who can turn the other cheek and walk away from somebody attacking him, and that's the special guy. Anybody can throw a punch. Anybody can kick somebody. Turn around and walk away. I have more respect for you. Okay. The other thing about indestructible personalities, and what I really like about these people, and I've seen this, they know how to get a little crazy. They actually know how to let their hair down, and they are not afraid to step out of their comfort zones. Does everybody know what a comfort zone is? Anybody not know what a comfort zone is? Okay. So here's the thing with comfort zones. And it's funny, when I'm trained, every great trainer makes me go out of my comfort zone. So here's what happens when you have to get out of your comfort zone.